Hello and welcome to Express Cafe, a show that is promoted by Sikkim's largest selling newspaper in English, Sikkim Express, and a wonderful platform that is created for the civil society, by the civil society, of the civil society. It's a platform where we discuss issues that concern us. Today, we are in the middle of COVID once again. Just a year back, we had started where the journey of COVID that we had started is back again with a bang. And the first thing that comes to our mind are lockdowns and closure of businesses. This week, we are discussing economy in times of COVID, especially in Sikkim, and we have real stakeholders and we'll be discussing real issues. I'm very pleased to welcome BJP MLA, also the chairman of the Economic Revival Committee, and also presently the chairman of DACS. We have Mr. Lukendra Rasaily, who is the chairman of STDC, and Mr. Naresh Shreshtha, who is an entrepreneur and businessman in Gangtok. So welcome, sir, and I'm so happy to invite you because we all are very worried in this present scenario with COVID surging at 170,000 presently as we shoot this program. And the Sensex has crashed by 1500 points just yesterday. So we are in a very dicey situation. So before going to people who are there in the policy level, I would like to start off with Mr. Naresh Shreshtha. How bad was the business in the last 1 year?
In the last 1 year, I think last year around this time, we had a total lockdown, and it just came out of the blue. So personally also I had a lot of issues at home because my father also fell ill. We couldn't go for treatment. So to add to that, it was a total lockdown. There's nothing we could do, but we did support most of our staff who were back, and we got into a lot of debt. A lot of the vendor payments that we had to do monthly, we rather saved it and rather supported our staff. But once lockdown opened, we've been able to pay most of it back, and it is recovering, and we are back to as good as normal. But again, it's also worrying at the same time. So there's an element of
it is worrying, as you rightly said, that we were caught unaware last time. No? This time, do you have a contingency backup plan?
A bit. We've been saving more just to survive in case of anything that happens, but we don't know.
And what about your friends, other friends in the business?
Yeah, most everybody is suffering who are in business. Okay. Those who are in the tourism business, we've been quite lucky. Post lockdown, there's a little bit of flow, and things were coming back to normal. But again, with the new strain and what's happening lately, it's looking worrying. But we hope it's not a total lockdown, at least for us.
Exactly. Lukendra sir, a lot of things have been talked right now. अहिले पनि हामी हेर्दैछौँ है, tourism खोल्नु नखोल्नु, rat गर्नु नगर्नु, tourist ल्याउनु नल्याउनु. We see daily post कि 17 जना टुरिस्टहरु हराए अरे, उनीहरु rat positive छ अरे भनेर नि, all these issues in social media हामी हेरिरहन्छौँ. तपाई you are a part of the business. I mean, you spent a long career in tourism and now you are heading STDC. Balance कहाँ ल्याउनु? हामीले बिजनेस बचाउनु पनि पर्यो, इकोनोमी पनि तान्नु पर्यो. साथमा how do we save the state from?
यसो नि, यो मिडल पार्क त हामीले 10 तारिक अक्टोबर 2020 मै सुरु गर्यो. गभर्नमेन्ट अफ सिक्किमले एउटा ठुलो स्टेप लियो, रिस्क लियो भनौँ न रादर. अघि त्यहाँ गएर कसरी अब यो बिजनेस, मेन स्टे अफ इकोनोमी चाहिँ टुरिज्म हो सिक्किममा. बस्ती एरियामा पनि टुरिज्म पुगिसकेको छ अहिले. अनि झन्डै तपाईँको 50 to 60% अफ द हाम्रो नागरिकहरू जति छ, डाइरेक्टली अर इन्डाइरेक्टली त्यहाँ निर्भर छ उहाँहरू. अब यहाँ के भयो भने गभर्मेन्टले रिस्क लिएर खोल्यो एकताल. अब त्यो खोल्नुभन्दा पहिला वी प्रिपेयर्ड आवरसेल्फ. के गर्यो भने डिपार्टमेन्ट अफ टुरिज्मले 3-3 लाख रुपियाँ दिएर मेजर एसोसिएसन्सहरूलाई उहाँहरूलाई पैसा दिएर ट्रेन अप गरायो कि ट्रेनरहरूलाई बनाउनुहोस् तपाईँहरू. हेल्थ डिपार्टमेन्टको मान्छे, टुरिज्म डिपार्टमेन्ट मान्छे, अरू रेलेभेन्ट ट्रेनर्सहरू आएर उहाँलाई ट्रेन गरायो. ट्रेनिङ गराइसकेर उहाँहरूले उहाँहरूले चाहिँ आफ्नो स्टाफहरूलाई ट्रेन गराउनु पर्यो, सो द्याट हामीले टुरिस्टलाई चाहिँ भित्राउनु सक्ने. अनि एट द सेम टाइम हामीले हाम्रो नागरिकहरूलाई पनि कुनै किसिमको सङ्क्रमण हुनु नदिने भनेर. त्यहाँदेखि अहिले फटक फुटुक तपाईँको यो के अरे भर्खर ब्याग भएको केटाकेटीहरू अनि यङ स्टुडेन्ट्सहरू उहाँहरू आउनु थाल्नुभयो. अझै पनि फ्यामिली टुर हाम्रो सिक्किममा सुरु भएको छैन. हेर्दा हेर्दै हाम्रो 3 लाख टुरिस्ट 3 महिना अगाडि आइसकेको थियो अनि झन्डै 5 लाखमा छुँदैछ अहिले त्यसले गर्दा चाहिँ तपाईको अलिकति चाहिँ हामीले त्यो मिडल पार्ट लिएर चाहिँ टुरिज्म सुरु गर्यौं
So this is very important, you know. उहाँले एकदम करेक्ट कुरा भन्नुभयो सरले कि 40 to 60% is like directly or indirectly, even your tourism, you may not say I am tourist dependent on tourism, but yes it does. Hotel bio, small business entrepreneurs bio. Sir, you were there as a chairman of the economic revival committee. So last year when you all did projecting, modeling and all that, whatever you saw, हामीलाई कति नुकसान भयो state like in terms of money or in terms of this one, कति नुकसान भयो होला last 6 months ma?
First of all, I would like to thank Sikkim Express for giving me this opportunity to put forward my views, especially with regard to the economy of the state of Sikkim and in general the trend which is happening nationally or internationally. See the report जुन चाहिँ हामीले last year बुझाएको थियो, submit गरेको थियो, this report is basically very qualitative report. It's a very qualitative report. So we are able to see what are the pitfalls and which is the category or segment of people which were badly hit. Right now, Sikkim being for example, a very tourism-centric place, we are very much aware that the greatest hits is tourism sector. But there is no doubt about it. Tourism sector ma pani abo drivers haru bha. So the report as it came out, the recommendations were given to the honorable CM and to the government such that these were going on simultaneously. Just the drivers alai jun prakarle 5000 jun chai tyo diyo, it was a relief measure, right? Social relief measure for the drivers and all. Arko kura villages ma jun prakarle food, right? Food rations or distribution by. These are some of the measures which were there. But from the government, like if you look at very difficult to say, I look at time because so the economic prediction is based on stability of data which is there, right? When it is a normal year, then it is easier to go for prediction. Like for example, IMF को last year को IMF को data जुन चाहिँ छ, IMF को last year को data मा भन्दै थियो कि 21-22 मा the growth rate would be around about 6%, 6 to 6.5% भनेर भन्दै. That is last year's IMF data. Now recent IMF data जुन चाहिँ छ, IMF ले release data मा, it is they are talking about 12.5%. Idea here is to look at the problems which are faced by the stakeholders at that point of time. And you are also talking about the stock market and all. So the view out here, what we have realized is that there is a short-term view to do with certain pains received or got by the sectional people. Okay, and there is a view that certain long-term plans must also be there. Okay, for example, since Sikkim is driven by central grants, okay, the central grant is going to go down quite a lot this year. Number two, there has been very low GST collection. Okay, so the state government's hands in terms of development activities are very much restricted. So in that respect, I feel that this year also we will have certain financial constraints which are there. But of course, this has been an eye-opener for the state government also, and certain long-term policy decisions will also take place.
That's a very interesting view because we understand, and I would like to ask हाम्रो Lukendra सरलाई पनि किनभने हेर्नुस् हाम्रो थुप्रै जुन चाहिँ tourism activity रोज other than private sector, this is development of areas, development of say हामीले tourism specific related areas हरू हामी develop and almost 100% one भएन but 90% is central grants. That has been hit hard. साथमा के हुँदैछ भने construction, अब त्यो बनाउनुको लागि पनि अब त्योसँग immediately त्यो पैसा आएन भने त्यो चीज बनिँदैन, नबनेपछि construction हुँदैन. It's a long chain. भने tourism ले त्यति मात्र हैन, but it's hitting the entire market right from construction to retail, and people are looking for it. तपाईलाई के लाग्छ अब I mean considering हाम्रो अलिकति सायद vision towards COVID has changed in 1 year. हामीले भन्दैछौँ न हुन्छ होला, I mean we'll try, vaccine पनि छ, अझै पनि आउँदैछ. Do you think this tourism was the first to be hit and last to get up in across the world. Manche, will it take time, some more time?
You're very correct, because it is the first to be hit and last to be hit. Like why? Because now tourism very suru bhayalyo. What happens is like it's not going to be normal. Our life is changed now completely. We have one new normal. जुन हिसाबले पहिला चल्दै थियो एमजी मार्गमा यताउति कुदिरहेको हो कि एन्ड वी वर केयर फ्री त्यहाँदेखि टुरिस्टहरू पनि केयर फ्री यति त्यो मास टुरिज्म चलिरहेको थियो त्यो चाहिँ हुँदैन अब तपाईँले इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर कुरा गर्नुभयो इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर अब बिफोर द कोभिड त्यो गभर्मेन्ट अफ इन्डियाले जुन चाहिँ पैसा दिँदै थियो इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेभलपमेन्टको लागि इट वाज साइजेबल अमाउन्ट विच वाज कमिङ फर द टुरिज्म डिपार्टमेन्ट अर रादर आरएमडिडीले पनि पाउँदै थियो टु डेभलप द भिलेज टुरिज्म बारे अब त्यो चाहिँ स्टप भयो अब गभर्मेन्ट अफ इन्डियाले 10% त्यो रिडक्सन गर्नु भने बजेटमा त्यसले पनि एफेक्ट भयो अनि अर्को कुरा के हो भने तपाईँको प्राइभेट सेक्टरको जुन चाहिँ इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर ठुल्ठुलो होटेलहरू चल्दै थियो बनाउँदै थियो त्यो पनि यो कोभिडले गर्दा सबै स्थगित भयो किनभने तपाईँको लेबर फोर्स पनि थिएन अनि अर्को पैसाको रोलिङ पनि थिएन देयर वर लाइक होटेल्स हाफ कन्स्ट्रक्टेड होटेल्स वेयर दे वर रेडी टु बी लिज्ड आउट टु द थर्ड पार्टी अब उहाँहरूले फेरि लिएन हो त्यसले गर्दा तपाईँको इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चरमा चाहिँ पुरा ड्यामेज भयो अब तपाईँको जब इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चरमा चाहिँ ड्यामेज भएपछि चाहिँ तपाईँको अनइम्प्लोइमेन्ट पुरा जेनेरेट भएर गयो अब त्यसले डुअल इफेक्ट भयो तपाईँको एउटा टुरिज्मपट्टिबाट पनि जुन चाहिँ टुरिस्ट नआउँदा अनइम्प्लोइमेन्ट क्रिएट भयो अनि अर्को चाहिँ तपाईँको इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चरको काम छैन त्यसले गर्दा इज भेरी भेरी ब्याडली हिट
एक्ज्याक्टली सो द्याट इज वेयर वी आर वरिड नरेश thankfully you are in the capital city Gangtok, which has got a sizable population of about 1,50,000. I'm talking about smaller towns, smaller villages where smaller entrepreneurs, let us say एउटा स्कुलको छेउमा चियाको दोकान स्कुल बन्द चिया पनि चल्दैन and you've been walking, I saw so many shops getting shut in this 1 year, changed hands, जसकोमा पैसा थियो उसले किन्यो but तुम लसमै किन्यो होला. What kind of support do people like you want from the government?
I cannot speak about our industries, but
Exactly.
at least the hotel and restaurant industry, we have written to the government, to Venchungpa sir also. Initially we didn't know what to ask and all, but little things like could help us, like maybe for example our electricity bills are reduced, but they didn't send the bills, but post so many months our area some of the report. Then again excise people were asking for reduction, which are dismantled for it. And I think the government also, they have a point here because they also need to raise revenues, but at the same time I think it's been very difficult because at the end if the business join up and if tax been approved then, but all in all we all are hit so badly, but also it's like a wake up call for Sikkim.
What were the major तपाईहरुले गभर्नमेन्टलाई जुन चाहिँ अरु देन रिलिफ मेजर्स एन्ड अल दैट के चाहिँ प्रपोज गर्नुभयो इन लङ टर्म?
2 or 3 points, main points.
Yeah, see, the report as such, it doesn't, what you call, of course we can't be too specific about it because the report has been very, very general. Because if we become too specific, then it becomes a sector specific kind of thing and specific. But of course, whatever the stakeholders have been asking, we have presented that to the government, like electricity tariff and all these things which are there. But just to take up from his point, which he has said, के हुन्छ भने see rent in MG Marg and all. Now, whenever something like this happens, okay, I think there has to be rationalization of the prices, okay. Like MG Marg rent and all, like it's astronomical rent out here. The rationalization of prices has to be there. One other thing which I want to say is that businesses also has to change. For example, education. If you look at the past 1 year, I think there is a scope today that education might go online. Okay, we have had education for so many now already about more than a year where students have not been attending classes and they may be attending only 10 to 15% of the total contact program which is there. So there is a different model in terms of how education. The same thing with businesses. Now for entrepreneurs who are eager to do, I feel that in this time of what you call crisis and all, there is a scope for entrepreneurs to deliver their services or deliver their business, create business models which will now be able to live with this kind of thing. But the main thing I think we must understand is that whatever discussion we are having and which is impacting every one of us, right, in different areas, the primary thing out here is it is a medical or pandemic problem which is there. If there is a solution to this pandemic problem, then all of the problems will disappear. Okay, so what I want to say primarily is that it's just like the coastal. When त्यो बीचमा गयो भने चाहिँ नि त्यो पानी चाहिँ सरेको जस्तै हो क्या. पानी सर्दा चाहिँ के हुन्छ त्यहाँ त्यो ढुङ्गाहरू जति नै सानो देख्छ. एन्ड इफ यु रियली लुक एट इट, अब हिजो अस्तिसम्म त्यो पानीले छोपेको ढुङ्गाहरू चाहिँ प्रब्लम छोपेको जस्तै हो नि है. आजदेखि त्यो पानी सरेर जाँदाखेरि चाहिँ अब त्यो प्रब्लम्सहरू देखेको जस्तै हो है. सो एज अ कम्युनिटी एन्ड एज अ सोसाइटी एन्ड as the government and for everyone to realize that so these are the problems, this is how we go and solve forward. One good example, a beautiful example which I can give you is that the state government, so I'm not talking about government of SKM or a government of SDF or so that for that matter, the state government who has power up until now. So because of this pandemic, we came to realize that there were so many problems in the health sector. Okay, so the present government has been able to really look at the problems, okay, give solutions and plan also and invest in the resources. Okay, so if you look, even if you look at simple things as like viral testing or RT-PCR testing, to lab Sikkim okay, so we did it on a war footing. Okay, so today we have in 2 months. Other thing which came to light was that there were so many patients with kidney problems, dialysis. अब अहिले भन्नु पर्ने पनि STDC मा छ, तपाईको मणिपालमा छँदैन छ, capacity has been increased, गेजिङमा पनि छ है, नाम्चीमा पनि छ. So these things are slowly coming up. So that policy पनि भयो, सब अरूलाई पनि भयो, it gives us a clear sight in terms of what is to be done.
Lukendra sir, you wanted to add?
सिक्किममा चाहिँ कस्तो खालको स्टेक होल्डर छ टुरिज्म भन्ने भने भर्खर यङ जेनेरेसनहरूले उहाँहरूले पुरा क्याचअप गर्दैछ नि. म्याक्सिमम लोकल पपुलेस आर इन्भल्भ इन दिस बिजनेस. कसैको एउटा गाडीको लोन तिर्नु सकेन, कसैको दुईटा गाडी तिर्नु सकेन, कसैको स्मल 5 लाख 10 लाखको लोन लिएको थियो सकेन है. गर्दाखेरि उहाँको डिमान्ड चाहिँ के थियो भने 2 लाख, कसैलाई 3 लाख, कसैलाई 4 लाख, कसैलाई 5 लाख को एउटा डिमान्ड थियो. उहाँले डिमान्ड प्लेस पनि गर्नुभएको थियो. तर प्रब्लम चाहिँ के भयो भने चाहिँ त्यो पनि हामीले पूर्ति गर्न सकेनौँ. अब के भयो भने मिनिस्ट्री अफ फाइनेन्सले खालि उहाँहरूले चाहिँ यो के भन्छ एमएसएमई सेक्टरलाई मात्रै बेसी बढावा दियो. उहाँहरूलाई नै अब उहाँहरूलाई सब्सिडी अप टु 50% पनि दिएको थियो है. 80 to 20 गरेर उहाँहरूलाई ग्रान्ट पनि दिएको थियो. भए पनि उहाँहरूलाई नै सघाउने भयो. टुरिज्मलाई एयरलाइन्सहरूलाई त छुटिहाल्यो. त्यसले गर्दा चाहिँ के भयो भने तपाईँको चाहिँ भए तापनि हाम्रो उहाँहरू यङ जेनेरेसन, अझै यङ जेनेरेसनहरू जसले चाहिँ एउटा टेबल चौकीमा सुरु गरेर पनि उहाँहरू बिजनेस सुरु गर्नुभएको थियो. उहाँहरूले एउटा सानसानो त्यो लोन नपाउँदा चाहिँ देयर फ्रस्ट्रेटेड. त्यसले गर्दा के भयो भने लास्टमा चाहिँ टुरिज्म खोल्नु कर पनि लाग्यो, खोल्यो पनि. बट अहिले राम्रो भएर आयो. तर अब के भयो भने चाहिँ तपाईँको यो जुन चाहिँ यो तपाईँको स्ट्रेन छ अहिले कोभिडको, अब यसले चाहिँ तपाईँको चाहिँ के हुँदैछ भने चाहिँ अब लोन लिनु पनि डेन्जरस. अब चाहिँ लोन पायो भने पनि इट्स भेरी डिफिकल्ट टु टेक द लोन. फेरि अब भोलिको दिनमा के छ वी डोन्ट नो.
See, there's a very interesting point which Mr. Lukendra Rasaily has actually picked up, like considering tourism not an MSME, not getting the adequate amount of support that it required. Naresh, अब तपाईँ जस्तै थुप्रै बिजनेसम्यानहरू छ, तपाईँ त अब रेस्टुरेन्टर हो, बट स्टिल यु अल्सो रन अ होटल एन्ड देयर आर मेनी अदर्स लाइक यु, स्पेसली गाउँ बस्तीतिर. Shouldn't it not be brought under this ambit, as in, you know, the way that we are thinking about industry? Because these are small places and, you know, we cannot have a one yardstick for all the industries. यसको लागि अब कोभिडले सायद हामीलाई यो पनि सिकायो होला. I mean, you know, what do you have to add to it? You know, what type of support?
Yeah, we'll have to really think out of the box because COVID ले चाहिँ यस्तो सिचुएसन ल्यायो कि लाइक पहिला त अब गोर्खाल्यान्ड स्ट्राइक हुन्थ्यो, स्मल पोलिटिकल डिस्ट्रप्सन्स, ल्यान्डस्लाइड, नेचुरल डिस्ट्रप्सन्स हुन्थ्यो. बट दिस इज लाइक टोटली, आई मिन सिक्किम वी स्टिल, आई थिङ्क वी रिकभर्ड रियली वेल कम्पेयर टु लट अफ इन्टरनेसनल डेस्टिनेसन्स. But I think all said and done, and since now tourism is the second largest industry in Sikkim after the government sector, and the industries भनेको यहाँनिर we only look at hydro, pharma, but I think tourism is very, very inclusive and maximum youth are taking towards tourism as an avenue to earn their livelihood. So maybe the government could look at maybe declaring tourism an industry. So as an official industry in Sikkim, I think the state government has the power within itself. It doesn't have to be declared by the center. So maybe get in the stakeholders. So I think as far as I'm told that once we have been declared an industry, especially like there are certain relief measures we can avail, and the government can, especially when it looks where you look at subsidy from power sector and other things, that way if you're performing. So I think for that best, I think
Lukendra sir.
And
Yeah, see, like previously, like government of Sikkim, what they did is like they said like ecotourism as an industry. And त्यहाँदेखि तपाईँको 2009 or 10 मा चाहिँ के भयो भने फेरि tourism was like considered as infrastructure industry. See, अन्त गएर नोटिफिकेसन पनि निकाल्यो. अब निकालेर चाहिँ के भन्छ इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर इन्डस्ट्री भन्नाले चाहिँ तपाईँको सर्भिस सेक्टरलाई चाहिँ छोडिदियो. अघि अब छोडिदिँदा फेरि के भयो भने उहाँहरू जस्तो रेस्टुरेन्ट चलाउने, ट्राभल एजेन्सीहरू चलाउने, होटल चलाउनेहरूको तपाईँको अरू देयर आर लार्ज पपुलेसन हु आर इन्गेज्ड इन दिस लाइक सर्भिस सेक्टर, सो दे ह्याड नो बेनिफिट.
कसरी ल्याउने सँगै मल्टिपल स्टेक होल्डर्स, फरेस्ट पनि छ, ऊ पनि छ, सबै.
There is always conflict. There is always conflict between the forest and tourism, because 80% of the land is with forest department, and most of our beautiful places are with the forest department. त्यहाँदेखि तपाईँको के हुन्छ भने अर्को के छ भने the government of India puts in a lot of money in this in the northeastern sector for the tourism, and the money comes through tourism department, right? अब गर्दा यहाँ चाहिँ के छ भने चाहिँ the new government has come, हाम्रो MLA साहब is here, and now I request
that business, as I said, you have a long experience.
Very long experience. अब अर्को कुरा के छ भने चाहिँ I've been requesting everybody, है अब बेटोकन सरसँग मैले कुरा गरेँ, यसलाई चाहिँ अब सरहरूले चाहिँ अब प्रेसराइज गरेर चाहिँ टुरिज्मलाई चाहिँ इन्डस्ट्री डिक्लेयर गरिदिनु भयो एज अ इन्क्लुसिभ industry declare गरिदिनु भयो भने चाहिँ yeah, there is a subsidy already. तपाईँको startup scheme मा दिएर अब 35% for homestays पहिला गाडीको लागि दिएको थियो, government is doing. तर अब यहाँ के छ भने चाहिँ when it is created as like it's established as an industry, then तपाईँको even this nationalized banks, they can help our young entrepreneurs. तपाईँको अर्को कुरा के छ भने 167 schools are giving this vocational training on tourism. तपाईँको 4वटा कलेजले पढाउँदैछ. We have got a lot of हजुर टुरिज्म पढिरहेछ. त्यही तपाईँको lot of PhDs are coming now. तर हाम्रो यहाँ चाहिँ के छ टुरिज्म इन्डस्ट्री डिक्लेयर नगर्दाखेरि चाहिँ हाम्रो जति पनि सिक्किमको इम्प्लोइमेन्ट जेनेरेट हुन्छ यहाँ मात्रै आइ नगरेर चाहिँ हाम्रो नर्थ इस्ट, तपाईँको नर्थ इस्ट चाहिँ इट्स हटस्पट अफ बायोडाइभर्सिटी नि. तपाईँको उता जानुको लागि चाहिँ हामीले यहाँ ट्रेन गरायो भने चाहिँ राम्रो हुन्थ्यो. अब यहाँ सरहरूसँगै डिपेन्ड गर्छ.
The point I want to move forward is that see in the discourse, the discourse हुँदैछ. So these kind of discourses, मैले अघि नै भने जस्तै these kind of discourses, and whenever you have problems like this, these issues come up which were not there, which was there in the beginning, but which is not forcefully put. Okay, now when you have a situation like this, the stakeholders and everyone, now the state government also now is in a position to recognize that these are the structural problems which are there in tourism. Number one, as I said, हामीले tourism को बारेमा सिक्किममा कुरा गर्छ. यसो हेर्यो भने प्राय हाम्रो tourism business is all proprietary business. Okay, so when that happens, you have unlimited liability, right? Whether we can take advantage of our certain structures, maybe single man company formation गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ, बैंकले financial त्यो पाउनुहुन्छ, labor laws is going to सक्छ है, because tourism needs that kind of thing, freedom, flexibility हुन सक्छ. जुन प्रकारले then tourism को एउटा policy जस्तो उहाँले भन्नुभएको जस्तै, of course you look at tourism and you look at who controls the assets in Sikkim, right? All tourism destinations are mostly controlled by forest department. So like there are a lot of other Himalayan, for example, the greatest example would be Nepal. Right? Nepal, if you go, you will find that most of the tourism, they are all controlled by their forest department. But how they beautifully coexist, right? Everest expeditions. So these kind of things can be, those kind of learnings can be got from like countries like Nepal, and who have been in this business for a very long time. So the important point out here is that I'm confident that the state government is now completely aware about the problems with the tourism sector which is there, and it is also now high time to impress on the central government also. Northeastern states, right, and जति नै हाम्रो Himalayan belt को state जति नै छ, we are so much, not even Himalayan, like if you look at Rajasthan and Kerala also, right, we are so much dependent upon tourism, and the whole economy, right, apart from the government, the whole economy is run by tourism sector. But one data which I just want to just point out one thing, that October 10th 2020 देखि हामीले easing out गरे. But if you look at the number of people, right, very optimistic result. Number of people who have visited Sikkim is around about 3 lakhs. On a normal year, we say that round about 7 to 8 lakhs, right? 7 to 8 lakhs. So if you look at the data, you find that at least 50% we picked the cost. We picked the cost. At least 50% मान्छे त आइसक्यो हैन, आएको छ. So I'm very confident the resilience of the people that they would want to visit. अब घरमा बस्दा बस्दा पनि त अब पुरै हैन फेटिग भइसक्यो मान्छेलाई, मान्छे बाहिर घुमौँ है. Of course all these protocols are छँदैन छ, but I am very optimistic that things will pick up very fast.
On that very positive note, that we humans are very resilient, and a very interesting thing that this COVID has also done is उहाँले अघि भन्नुभएको जस्तो पानी सरेर गयो, थुप्रै ढुङ्गाहरू देख्यो. So we could find out a lot of problems that were which were covered for a pretty long time. So I do hope that we have benefited from this discussion, and thank you very much for being with us. You know, it was very important that, because people have been questioning about किन चाहिँ economy माथि कुरा भएको. So thank you very much, and see you next week. Namaskar.